everything fast. We want to activate the fast twitch muscles. You know what I'm saying? We do everything with rapid speed. If I'm doing anything that consists of me moving my feet, is sprinting and stuff like that. And I wear a 45-pound vest on me as well too, in all my exercise and everything that I do, to have that extra weight on me.
Really? Shout out to my general, It's Hidden Leaf, for supporting man in the Patreon. Any other dons out there who want to join Team YB, receive daily exclusive content, request videos from the YB, check me out, patreon.com/the YB. Wow, so we just heard there from Deontay Wilder, completely exposing himself. This guy just can't catch a break. 1 minute he's getting plastered all over the ring by #PillowFistFury. Next minute, the best excuse he can cook up is not only been debunked. And you know what? I said exactly this. I'm not trying to make out on some whatever, but I came on here and said, we've all seen Wilder running with weighted jackets on, but it's one thing us saying it and seeing it. It's another thing Wilder himself coming out and bragging about it. And you know what? This couldn't be more poetic, because it's literally the same weight. I actually underestimated it when I initially speculated and said that Wilder's talking rubbish about this excuse because I've seen him running in a 10-kilo vest. I assumed it was 10 kilo or 20 pounds, 25 pounds. Lo and behold, it's 20 kilo and 45 pounds, the exact same weight that he said that he couldn't manage walking from his changing room to the ring with. This is a madness, complete madness. And like I also said, you got to bear in mind, Wilder, when he trains with this 45 or 40 pound vest on, guess what? He's not just slowly walking to a ring. He's doing explosive movements. If you condition yourself, with a 45 pound weight on, doing it, you hear him there. Never mind, don't take me, you hear him. Oh man, we like to do explosive sprints to make sure my cardiovascular system is conditioned. He's talking about doing, and that's what I'm saying. When you when you overexert yourself and overcompensate, you best believe you are well used to that particular weight. And then when you take it off, you best also believe you've gained that fitness. So when you put it on and you're just walking normally, you won't even notice it because you've overexerted yourself. Does that make sense? Your cardiovascular baseline has increased. So as an example, maybe, I find it hard to believe anyway, even an untrained man, if you put a 45 pound suit on a untrained man, he'll notice it, but it's not going to be the end of the world for 100 meters, 200 meters. It's really not. In fact, I would bet if you put a 20 kilo jacket on a group of average men and made them walk 200-300 meters and asked them to report how their legs feel afterwards, I guarantee you there'd be if anything reported, there'd be no changes at all in terms of fatigue, especially when he didn't walk in it and then have it on. He had before, there was a period of time in between him taking it off and actually starting the fight. Does that make sense? And like I said, these athletes are trained. When you train, you do interval training. The whole point of doing that is to get your body used to being able to recover in a short period of time. What do we know about boxing? Well, boxers are trained to recover somewhat. Of course, you don't recover 100%, but you recover probably 80%. But boxers are trained to recover 80-85% within 1 minute. Now, he so-called walked out of the ring, walked out from his changing room for 200-300 meters. Then he took the suit off, and he was able to stand around for another 5 minutes. They had the national anthem, they had this, they had that. So he stood, and his legs were fresh. He had 5 minutes of rest without the suit on, which is plenty of time for an elite athlete who's trained for this, who's trained for interval training, who's prepared or whose cardiovascular system, whose body's trained to recover in a given period of time. That should be no problem at all. And this is the problem. it's a complete joke. His excuse, it's just a shame really for him that it had to be this way. It's dread, man. Truly dread. I can't think of, honestly, when this came out, whoever found this, and that's the beautiful thing in the world, like, there's so many people out there. Someone somewhere would have been re-watching Wilder's Joe Rogan interview, and they would have stumbled across this, and it's so beautiful how it works out. There's nowhere to hide anymore. You will get caught lacking, and that's why when you lose, you're best off putting your hands in the air and saying, like AJ did, or not even that. I don't even mind. Like, to be fair, I've even said myself, I don't even really mind people making excuses. Like, if you come out and you've got an actual, like, proper solid or something with some fundamentals to it, I don't really mind that. But to come out and that was like listen, we've talked about David Big Toe Hay. David Big Toe Hay, he's been relinquished now. I spoke to David Hay the other day and he told me, he said, YB, I'm so glad that Wilder came out with this excuse, because finally now, I will not be known as the man with the worst excuse in boxing. Yeah? That day when Hay got schooled by Vlad, and he got up on that conference desk and pulled his little toe out, or his big toe, whatever toe it was, pulled his stinking toe out and said, look. And then, there was nothing wrong with it anyway, but still, he pulled his big, ugly toe out and said, oh, I hurt my toe, etc., etc. He's now been vindicated. He's no longer. And we're talking miles difference here. It's interesting. Who was it? I think it was Sky or someone big, someone with a big platform, did a poll of who's had the worst excuse, David Hay or Deontay Wilder. And it was Deontay Wilder by 85% to 15%. And you got that right as well. At least because like a little toe, at least that's like, well, you know what, he might have actually hurt his toe. But to say your walkout thing, and that's another thing someone brought up, that costume was very particular in as much as it's not, people, you can't even order t-shirts online and get a good fit these days. Never mind something as bespoke as that. See what I mean? It was a proper rigid frame. He must have had about 10 fitting experiences or whatever. And not to mention that, he even said himself he tried it on the night before. So if something was that detrimental, you would have noticed it. If something was that detrimental that it's going to drain your legs, you would have noticed it in the thing. But I'll tell you why you didn't notice it the day before. Because guess what? You've been used to training with a 45-pound thing on, you muppet. And I'm just wondering, like, there's something more going on here. Something's not right. I'm serious, This man needs to have his head checked. Something ain't adding up to me. Something ain't right here. I don't know about you, but that, as far as excuses go, and the worst thing is to hear Wilder Fango actually defending this. Some things are indefensible. They just are indefensible. You can't defend them, and that's why I've got to take my hat off to Andy Ruiz fans, because when Andy Ruiz got busted up on December 7th by AJ, and he came out, I didn't see one, no word of a lie, I didn't see one Andy Ruiz fan try and defend him. In fact, they were doing what they should do, and they was just roasting him as well and saying, you lazy, whatever. No one was coming out saying, oh, well, if he had a trained, he'd have done this, he'd have done that. No one backed him, and that's how it should be. But these Wilder fangirls, they are literally fan girls. If Wilder, no word of a lie, if Wilder went to an event, yeah, or if Wilder had an after party after one of the fights he won, and the LDB and Wilder fangirls were there, I bet you, and no word of a lie, I bet you any money, he could pick out any of them and they'd come home with him. No joke. Just like a groupie. I guarantee it. He'd say, you 78, you Fanon, UFBTB, Googly, you Blue Balls, you're coming home with me tonight. And they'd be like, oh yes, we've been selected. That's what would happen. And that's the truth of it. Because this is indefensible. Do you understand how mad this sounds? And these are 50-year-old men as well. 50-year-old men are defending this. Oh man, it's not an excuse. It's an explanation. It's not an excuse, it's an explanation. An explanation. The man trains in a 45 pound, he sprints in a 45 pound weighted jacket. And I guarantee you, when you do how you train, you do repetitions, don't you? So like, even if that was like, let's say he sprinted to the ring, yeah, that night. That would have only counted as his first repetition. In training, you probably do 30, 40 reps of sprints. So you shouldn't even be on your radar. Do you know what I mean? Complete madness, man. And Dillian Whyte, how I saw this was by, I'm pretty sure most people saw it, but Dillian Whyte came out and roasted him up and said the following: "There you go, at bronze bummer. No surprise, you lying coward. Boom, hashtag fraud." And that's what you are. You and your whole thing's been exposed, man. I do feel, part of me feels bad because there's excuses and then there's what you are. You are just like a wet, you know when you go in a public toilet and it stinks. I ain't been in one for a minute, but you know when you're in a public toilet and it stinks. You are that piece of tissue paper on the floor that's all mashed up and brown and smelling. People have stood in it. That's what you are as an excuse. That's what your excuse was. Shocking.